Accrington Stanley at home. Luke, exciting end to the season in store, and I suppose, this is the sort of end to the season you want for your learning experience.
Yeah, exactly. I think obviously throughout the season we've been in that sort of top six, if it were, and to be in that position now is great. Like, I think obviously we dropped off the top three in the month of March, but I think the least we can get out of this season is playoffs, and Saturday's going to be a massive game to get on the way on to get into those playoffs. So it's in our hands still. We're still in the playoffs, and obviously Crewe are coming up behind us, but all we have to do is concentrate on ourselves, and on a personal level I think the playoffs is going to be a quality experience for myself. Obviously it's going to be the first time I've ever played in them, and I might not ever play in them again, so I think it's exciting times, like you say.
And you mentioned March wasn't a good month. Did you notice any sort of reason as to why that might happen? Any sort of change in focus, change in morale, anything?
Not too much. I think it was just based down to both not getting the luck, individual errors, and I don't think the team in general was playing that poorly. I think it was just down to, like I say, individual errors and maybe sort of not getting the luck and the rub of the green, that we were at the start of the season. So it's you're going to go through ups and downs, and maybe the timing of our downs is not been the best, but I think as a group we've come together again, and we've got a massive win on Friday, and that sort of lifted all the players. And obviously Monday was hugely unlucky, but we're both, the team and I, we're really confident, and I think we can definitely go through the playoffs.
And I suppose at this stage of the season, so many teams have got so much to play for. Wins just get harder to get, so you just got to work harder and just keep being better.
Yeah, exactly. I think every point counts. Saturday we're going to go out and we'll take the game to Accrington, and I think a win will definitely probably secure us playoffs, I think, depending on maybe Crewe's result and stuff like that. But like I say, all we've got to do is concentrate on ourselves, and every point counts. I think if you win your home games and get a point away, that's all you need at this moment in time, and I think it's an exciting end to the season.
And of course Cheltenham won 1-0 up at Accrington earlier in the season. I'm sure you'd settle for the same again.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like you say, it's not about scoring loads of goals. If it's 1-0, we'll take that all day. I think the 3 points is what we need at this moment in time.
I've got to ask about Everton as well. FA Cup semi-final at the weekend. David Moyes, of course, rested a few players against Sunderland. Leighton Baines among them. You must look at that and think, well, that could have been an opportunity for me, but I suppose you'd learn far more from virtually a whole season here than one game perhaps in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's one thing you do look at and you think, would I have got that opportunity if I was there? And maybe I wouldn't, because this opportunity has helped me for hopefully next season to get a few games in the Premier League or in the Carling Cups or whatever, or if we qualify for Europa League. So I think the team's doing quality at the moment, and everyone's on the up there, and I feel as though we can go into that game against Liverpool and get a result. I think quite a lot of the times we'll probably go into it thinking maybe not, but the team's flying, and I think we can turn them over.
Be alright if you could have 2 trips to Wembley this season, one in the playoffs and one in an FA Cup final.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously what's on my mind is trying to get there with Cheltenham at the moment, but I'm pleased for Everton, and they're doing well.
Great, so thank you, good luck.
Right,
Luke, if you can get a promotion on your CV at Cheltenham, do you think that would help you push your claims at Everton, if you can go back there and say you helped Cheltenham get into League One?
Yeah, I think firstly getting in the playoffs, I think because the games will be on Sky and stuff, the exposure of that will probably help me individually and see where I'm at, and if I play well in them, then that'll boost. But I think, yeah, getting promotion is definitely going to be going to help my cause. They'll see that I've had a really good season there, and you'll never know what will happen.
Yeah, up against Lewis Grabban at Rotherham. How did you find that? You had a good battle with him.
Yeah, he was a good player. I think he's one of the better players I played against. Obviously, Jay Aldershot gave me a good game, and him. So I think they were like the two toughest players I've played this season. I think I sort of first half, we were against up against it a little bit, and then second half we sorted it out, and we thought, this is not a game where we can sort of get at them and play our normal game, which is passing it. We just needed to stay as a back four and defend properly. So it's sort of game understanding and recognising when to play, sort of thing.
Yeah, the manager's sort of been changing the team around a bit and the formations. And is it good to have everyone on their toes guessing, or do you think people would like to sort of know the settled system and something to get used to over the last few games?
Well, I think obviously results are sort of changing that. The month of March, like I said, wasn't a very good month, so obviously the gaffer's going to be thinking, shall I change things? And he's gone for a diamond at home, and I think that's benefited because we've played it twice and won twice. I think he's going to go for his tried and tested away from home. But as I say, I think maybe sort of with the attacking options that we've got, we can sort of go for it a bit more away from home and then sort of sit back. But I think as a team we recognise against Rotherham, they were pressing us high up the pitch, and we were just sort of as it were playing for a draw but on the break sort of thing, and we did it perfectly in the second half, and we could have maybe grabbed a couple of goals, and then that sucker punch at the end sort of killed us. So I think we could take a lot of positives out of the game, but that's just sort of the luck that you need at the end of the season.
Yeah, when in a diamond, do you think the fullback's role is even more important because you haven't got anyone directly in front of you?
Yeah, I think I like it obviously because I can get forward and I can sort of start the game off from there, and I think against Barnet I really enjoyed that sort of role, and the gaffers told me in that role, like, you can set the play off and we'll play for you kind of thing, and that's what I like to see really, and I think it's worked really well.
Yeah, you mentioned Jermaine being one of the toughest players you played against. So we've seen him do it a couple of times in the Cheltenham shirt, but he's had to be patient at times, and then there's been times where he hasn't quite been able to get into games. Do you think there's a lot more to come from him at Cheltenham?
Yeah, I think he's one of those players, when he's still, I think he's still got a little bit more settling in to do, and the lads have taken to him really well, and he's fitted in really nicely, and he's got loads of pace, and he's a good winger, so he'll do well for Cheltenham.
Yeah.